Now, we want to learn about why it is important to learn Power BI. Why do we need to know how to use Power BI to analyze and visualize our data and get insights from it? One of those reasons it's important to learn Power BI is because with Power BI, you can create real-time dashboard and interactive reports. When you have millions of rows of data, Power BI allows you to connect to this data, and when that data updates, when you have an update to the data, you have more rows added to the data, you can get real-time changes and you can track those changes. You can create alarms and do a lot of other cool stuff with Power BI. It is also important because Power BI integrates with various data sources. It has more than 100 data connectors, whether it is in a file or in a database or even a PDF file where you just have data there somehow, or a text file. Power BI allows you to connect to such data source. When you analyze the data, you can also have natural language query and AI insights. You can integrate Power BI with some AI visualizations and get cool insights from your data. Another reason is that it is a self-service BI. What do I mean by self-service BI? When you use Power BI in your organization, we can have different user type, from the report author and the report user. A report user is also going to be doing business intelligence, but does not need to know about transformation of the data, cleaning of the data, and other stuff like that. With self-service BI, you have your reports and you can interact with your reports. You can filter your reports. You can get queries from your reports. You can type what you want inside Power BI. That, okay, I want sales by manager. I want sales by region and other things like that. And you are going to get it. So which means that with Power BI, you can be a user of Power BI, and it doesn't mean that you are a Power BI analyst. That is one of the benefits of Power BI. It also fosters collaboration and sharing, because when you have your reports created in the Power BI desktop, you can publish it to the Power BI service and you can share with your colleague. You can share with your colleagues in the office. You can collaborate easily on reports. 2, 3, 4 of us can be working on the same data and creating reports with Power BI. And when I'm done with creating this report, I can share this report with people in my organization or outside my organization and allow them to see only what I want them to see in the data or in my reports. That is one of the benefits. Also, because we can have different permissions level and people can see what they ought to see. And I can have my data engineer somewhere setting the permission, taking care of the data, where it is stored, and other things like that. It allows me to comply with data governance and security. I don't need to have multiple versions of a data when different people are working on it, or I have multiple versions of a report. We can have a single report where we'll be working on, collaborate, and when there is a change by one of the analysts working on these reports, everybody that ought to see it in the organization is going to see it. It also integrates with a lot of tools in the Microsoft ecosystem. You can integrate it with Excel, with Analyze with Excel. You can integrate with the SharePoint, Teams, Azure, Power Platform, and Microsoft Fabric, and a lot of other tools by Microsoft. It has that integration. So you are not just going to be using Power BI alone. So you can view your report directly inside Microsoft Teams. This is what is possible when you use Power BI or when you develop with Power BI in an organization. There is also mobile accessibility, which means that my published reports can be seen from my mobile phone. I can just pick up my Android or my Apple device. I'm able to see my reports and see real-time changes to my data and the results coming from it. And also, because of all these things, and because Microsoft is developing Power BI so well, every month we have new updates. Microsoft is an industry leader. That is why Power BI is so important in the business intelligence world. And that is why it's important to learn Power BI. And it is important as an organization to know or to use and adopt Power BI for data culture, governance, security, and compliance purposes. Now, I do recognize that a lot of people are coming from Excel. You know how to use Excel before, or you have a faint idea of how Excel works. Now you want to learn Power BI. Are there any similarities between Excel and Power BI? Is there any relationship between both of them? Let us look into this. When you are a report author or an analyst, but whether you create your data yourself or you get it somewhere or you created a survey, you have your data that you want to analyze. The next step, what we usually do in Excel, if you are using Excel as a power user, what we usually have is that we get your data with Power Query. We also have Power Query in Excel. So, which means that you can connect directly to your data wherever it is, whether it is in a database or even whether it is in an Excel file or a CSV file, or whether it is 10 millions of rows of data, 100 millions of rows of data, you can connect to it in Excel. When you've connected to it in Power Query, which is an ETL tool, extract, transform, and load, a tool that allows you to extract, transform, and load. When you connect to it with Power Query, you transform your data, you clean your data, it's in good shape, you like it, we are happy. The next step is to take this transform data and to load it directly into the data model in Excel. By loading it into the data model in Excel, I'm going to be using a tool called Power Pivot. So Power Pivot was created in 2010 with Power Query as an external add-in by Microsoft. Then later, with subsequent releases of upgrades to Excel, it is now incorporated inside Excel. It comes with Excel, not something external now. It comes with Excel. When you have Excel 2013, you are going to be Power Query and Power Pivot on it. Now, you have Power Query and Power Pivot. The language, when you write formulas in the data model or the Power Pivot of Excel, you are going to be writing in a language called DAX. And when you are transforming your data in Power Query in Excel, you are going to be using the M language. When I have my reports in Excel using the Power Pivot, I can create pivot table, charts from it. But remember, when you want to share that report, you have to send it as an email attachment. Maybe you just share as a link through OneDrive. But it still doesn't give you the flexibility. You can have multiple versions of that report. What Microsoft did later was to incorporate this tool, the Power Pivot and the Power Query. Microsoft bundled all of them together and call it the Power BI Desktop. This was released in 2015. So when it was released in 2015, Microsoft also released other tools with it. When you hear Power BI, you're actually talking of a lot of things. So we also have the Power BI service that allows you to collaborate and share and manage these reports, and also create dashboard, and also be able to view your reports on mobile devices. A number of things you can do in your Power BI desktop. You can also do it in Excel as a power user. But the only difference is that you don't have the Power BI service in Excel. But it is very possible for me to create my data model in Excel and connect to this data model with Power BI desktop. And I continue with my reporting and analytics. That is that about that. How do we install Power BI desktop? To install Power BI desktop, there are two methods. We can either install it from the Windows Store app or the Power BI Microsoft website. If you want to install from the Windows Store app, there is an advantage to it. It automatically updates monthly when you install from the Store app. It means that every month that Microsoft releases an update, it automatically updates. I don't need to manually download, install, and update again. So I just have that. But if you install through the Power BI Microsoft website, then you have to manually download every month in order to get the latest version. I'm going to demonstrate something to us now Let us go to the Microsoft Power BI website. On the Microsoft Power BI website, we can see now that we have download and the advanced download. Each of them leads to different places. If I click on download, it actually prompts me to open the Microsoft Store app. And it wants to install the Power BI desktop through the Windows Store. If I go back to the website again, if I click on advanced download options, what I'm going to have is that it prompts me to download. If I come down here and click on download, I'm going to download an executable file. We can see now we are going to download an executable file, which we are going to install manually. I always encourage us to use the Microsoft Store option to download and install Power BI Desktop. If you are following me and you don't have Power BI Desktop installed, I want you to now use the Microsoft Store option and use it to get, download, and install the Power BI Desktop. Once we have downloaded and installed the Power BI Desktop, we can now open it on our PC. When we open the Power BI Desktop, this is the first screen we are going to be seeing. When we come to this website, the download options, we can see now that when we say Power BI, we refer to a lot of things. I could be talking about the Power BI Desktop or the Power BI Mobile or the Microsoft on-premises data gateway or the report server or the Microsoft report builder. All these tools are what I call Power BI and its sisters. We can either be talking about the Power BI Desktop, the Power BI Mobile, the Microsoft on-premises data gateway, the Power BI report server, or the Power BI report builder. In most of the cases, what people do is that they bring their data into Power BI Desktop, which is installed on their PC, and create a report. Once you are happy with the report that you've created, you publish this report to the Power BI service. In the Power BI service, you can create new visualizations and you can build your dashboard. Your dashboard could be coming from several reports. Your dashboard is going to be a single page of visualizations, tiles of visualizations, which you can share and collaborate with. Now in your Power BI service, you can share those reports with people on the go as they are building the report. They can also make comments. Depending on the permission level they have, they can also create new reports. They can also create dashboards in the workspace of the organization. And you can interact with this dashboard and reports with your Power BI mobile app. So in most of the cases, it starts from Power BI Desktop to the Power BI service to the Power BI mobile app. I would like to let you know that Power BI is just one of those tools that we call Power Platform. The Power Platform, they are low-code platform that spans Office 365, Azure, Dynamics 365, and standalone applications. It allows you to create low-code apps. So you can create apps with Power Apps. You can create pages like websites with Power Pages. You can create automations, business automations, and create flows with Power Automate. And we can have the intelligent virtual agents with the Power Virtual Agents. And also we have the Power BI. All of these tools are what we call the Power Platform, and Power BI is just one of it. You can also create Power BI reports inside your Power Apps. You can incorporate with the Power Apps. You can add Power Automate as a visualization to your Power BI. All of them, they are within the Microsoft ecosystem that you can work with. Also, Microsoft recently launched what we call the Microsoft Fabric. What is the Fabric? It is a one place for you that you can do everything that concerns your data, from data engineering to data science to data analytics, and incorporate everything together into one place on the web, in the cloud. Fabric is not something you install locally on your PC. Some people are going to be using Power BI from the Power Platform point of view, where they want to use it together with other tools like Power Automate, like Power Apps. Meanwhile, some people, they don't really care about the Power Apps or the Power Automate. They are using Power BI as one of the data platform tools in order to do that data engineering, data science, and data analytics stuff. And that is that about that. Now, the question is Power free? Yes and no. It depends on your level of usage. If I want to use Power BI as a single individual, where I'm not going to be sharing my reports with anybody, then I can simply install the Power BI desktop and use it for myself. I cannot share it with anyone. That is the Power BI desktop. But if I want to do self-service analytics, I want to collaborate with other people, then I need a license, which means that I need at least a Power BI Pro license, which allows me to share my reports with other people. But the people I share my reports with must also be a Power BI Pro license user. We have the Power BI Premium licensed by user or licensed by what? By capacity. These are all levels of licensing. All comes with their different costs per month. If you are learning Power BI, you can use Power BI Desktop for free. You can also become a Power BI Pro user by opening what we call Power BI Developer account, which I'm going to be showing you, the Microsoft 365 Developer account. So you can simply come to your browser and just search for Microsoft 365 Developer Program. You want to join this program so that you can benefit from the Microsoft Power BI Pro privileges, so that you can share your reports and publish it online on the web and other things like that. It is basically 1 year renewable usage. If you are using it to develop, then you can renew it. It automatically renews annually for you. So you can join this program and create your email. Is either you use your existing Gmail, Yahoo Mail, or Outlook. This allows you to have access to the Power BI service. But you may not need the developer account. If you have a work email, you can sign up with your work email to Power BI and use it to create an account for the Power BI service so that you can see what it incorporates with. Depending on your level of usage, is either you have to do the Microsoft 365 or you do what? You use your work email. These are only the ways you can access the Microsoft Power BI service. Meanwhile, take note that if your organization does not have a license for you, for your work email, you are only going to be having 60 days free trial. So take note of that. So if you have a work email, it means very good if you do the developer program and you create an account and you have your new email that you can use to sign up or to sign into the Power BI service. Now, these are all the different things and the different capabilities of the different licensing type. With the free account that I talked with you by using the Power BI desktop, through the 365 developer account, or through the Microsoft Power BI free account, these are only things you can do. You can create reports with the Power BI desktop, and your data is also secured and encrypted within the Power BI desktop on your local machine. But if you have a pro account, you can publish reports to share and collaborate with other people. Depending on how big your data is, it is going to determine the model memory size limit. If you have billions of rows of data, then the Power BI Pro may not be what is suitable for you because you only have 1 gigabyte of model memory and 10 gig of maximum storage. Depending on the number of reports you want to create and how big your data is, you may be looking at something for Power BI Premium, especially if you are an organization for enterprises that have billions of rows of data that you want to analyze. So it all depends on the level of usage, and we can see these are the different capabilities. If you have the Power BI Premium account, your users can consume the Power BI content without the Power BI Premium per user. They can just have a Power BI Pro account and they'll be able to view these reports. Now, I need to quickly talk about the building blocks of Power BI. These are some of the terms we are going to be using in the course of this course that we are doing. We have what we call the semantic model. It is just a big term. When I say semantic model, I'm only talking about the collection of my data. When I'm analyzing and building a report or dashboard, I can have data coming from several places. Maybe one is a flat file, Excel file. Some others data are coming from the database. Then another is coming from the web. Then another is coming from maybe it's manual. All of this data together, this collection of data, is what we call the semantic model, which we are going to build the relationship between both all this data so that they can filter each other. Your semantic model is what you are going to be using to build visualization. Your visualization can be anything from a simple text or a single number on a card to charts, bar charts, pie charts, column charts, heat maps, scatter charts, line plots, maps. All these are what we call visualizations. Then my report is my visualization plus semantic model. I can have several report pages in my Power BI. Now we have what we call dashboard. There's a difference between report and dashboard. In Power BI desktop, we have what we call reports. But when I publish my reports to the Power BI service, I can take some visuals from my reports and pin it to a dashboard. My dashboard is just going to be a single page. So it means types of reports makes up a dashboard. That is basically what we mean. So dashboard is in the Power BI service, which may be coming from one or more reports. Then I have my workspace. This workspace is where I'm going to have my report and dashboard and my data, where I can collaborate and set my permissions in the Power BI service. These are the common building blocks in Power BI, which we need to know. And that wraps up our introduction to Power BI. In the next part of this course, we are going to be learning about the Power BI interface. And we're also going to be learning about how to get data into Power BI from some of the common data sources you may encounter in your professional work.